Good evening. Today is Thursday, August 25th, 2022, and the time is now 6:30 p.m. I will now call the regular meeting of ISD 191 Board of Education to order. I'd like to welcome those who are here in the audience today, as well as those who are watching online. Director Alt, will you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Moved by Director Miller.
Second.
Second by Director Hume. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We will now move to the information portion of our meeting. And we will have first on our agenda a report on summer projects with Dave Lake, Director of Operations and Transportation.
So good evening, Dr. Battle, chair members, and Board Chair Chester. I thank you for the opportunity to share with you our summer projects and the things that are happening in the operations side. So by way of just a quick overview, we'll start with our two middle school projects, and then we'll move to our Burnsville High School site, Diamond Head Education Center, and then we'll finish up with a few elementary school sites. So starting out, Eagle Ridge, last year we did a bituminous reconstruction project on the main lot, the upper lot. So this year we completed the site by doing a construction project, complete asphalt a replacement on the south lot and our main bus loop. Moving inside the school, our FACS classroom, it's original. The entire classroom was original, so we did some casework updates. We replaced all of the countertops, did some repainting in the room, and also replaced the sinks and faucets. The picture here was about 80% done. Today it's all done. It got finished on Monday, so I wish I had a more up-to-date picture, but if you check it out, it looks wonderful, and I think the staff will be happy. We replaced a rooftop DX, so a direct exchange cooling unit that serviced the whole south side of the building, so your main office, cafeteria, kitchen, gym. So it covered a good chunk of the building, and thank you to the staff and students there for putting up with no AC for about 3 to 4 weeks. Moving on to Nicolette Middle School. We've been doing some whiteboard or marker board updates for the last 2.5 years. This year we did about 25 more classrooms, so we're down to about 10 for next year, and we'll have the whole school completed. 2 years ago we replaced, or we overhauled, I should say, one of the chillers for the cooling units at Nicolette, and then this year we took care of the other one. So we should expect 10 to 12 years of working cooling without any major repairs. There's always repair costs, of course. And then on the round building, there's 3 entry points, exterior door 3, 4, and 5. We're doing some brickwork, primarily around those entries. And then this was a fun project, so I should say thank you to Dr. Battle and our executive team, and we collaborated on this one. The Paver chessboard, of course, was a historic piece at Metcalf Middle School, and then with the pending sale, we all felt that it would be best served to relocate it to a new site. So I worked with Dr. Belmont, Dr. Pohl, and others, including Coach Ribnick, and we decided that Nicolette would be the proper location. And then we didn't recreate, we actually moved the whole thing over, and piece by piece everything went into the same spots. So there's a lot of pavers that have names, groups, and people that have dedicated their time and efforts to that board. And then in the picture on the right, if you notice, we've got 2 maple trees, one on either side. We had a small tree that was dying, and then the one on the right had been damaged by weather. So the whole back of the tree was gone from a storm a couple years back. So we took down both of the trees and put in new maples. So moving on to Burnsville High School, we've got another chiller there. So we updated the main controls and overhauled that chiller as well. That one is about 11 to 12 years old, so it's at that time where you have to overhaul it to get another 10 to 12 years out of it. And then on the right, you'll see the band room at Burnsville High School. We recarpeted the entire music area. There's 4 main areas, and then there's 7 or 8 practice rooms, so we recarpeted all of those. And then moving on to Diamond Head. Last year when the BEST program moved over to Diamond Head, we did some exterior work. This year we completed that, so we did the entire building, some exterior ceiling, recalking, joint repairs. So both levels all the way around, we've got that all taken care of. And we did a couple of compressor replacements, so your HVAC units on the rooftop. Not an exciting picture, but nice cloudy day when I got the picture. Yeah, so we have 2 new HVAC units. And then the picture to your right, again, this one, as of last Thursday, wasn't completed, but it is now. So we took care of 2 classrooms, 1025 and 1026. One of the rooms we replaced the VCT tile, or the vinyl composite, I should say, tile, the trim, and then we patched and painted both rooms. One of the rooms had 2 old wooden doors that had seen some pretty good wear and tear, so we replaced those with hollow metal and then replaced the lock set and hardware. Now moving on to the elementary sites. Edward Neal, we did some more painting this year. We did a little bit of exterior work last year. On the right, you'll see that the gym was repainted. We also did some painting in the hallways, around some of the frames and some of the posts that you'll find there. And then on the left, you'll see casework updates. So if you picture Edward Neal, it's a round building, and the picture in front of you, there's all those cubbies, so where kids put their book bags and their jackets and materials. Those are all original to the building, so they're about 50 years old. So we had everything sanded down. We had a carpenter come out and do any repairs that were needed, replace any boards, and then we had everything sanded down and then refinished. And then it's not pictured here, but there's a corridor that goes from the round building out to the media center. We refloored that with carpeting. Hidden Valley Elementary, of course, it's side by side with Eagle Ridge, so when we were finishing up the bituminous there, we moved over to Hidden Valley and we did the entire property, which is a little bit of an undertaking. There's a main staff lot, then you've got the bus loop, and then there's a long drive that wraps around the back of the building. So we took care of everything. It's not pictured here, but as of last weekend, we had the new monument sign put in over at Hidden Valley. So if you drive by, you'll see that up. And then we did exterior stucco updates at main entry 1 and main entry 2, primarily those columns that you see, and then some of the work around it, and then we had that repainted. And then finally, so when we go to Sky Oaks, this was our building where we did the most interior updates. And I'm smiling because this is one of those sites where it's a good example of when we do summer projects, we use the entire summer. So last Thursday, this is what it looked like. So in our main office, we redid the ceilings, the grid work, the LED lighting. We updated a bathroom. We scraped down the walls. Sky Oaks is a unique building. It's got a lot of corkboard walls. So we removed all of that and then skim coated and sheetrocked the walls. Before school starts, we'll have new furniture in the main office. There's a single stall restroom in there as well that we updated. And then on the right, that's also completed. That's a bathroom for students and visitors right across from the main gym. Right there, we replaced the tile on the walls, on the floor. We updated all the fixtures, LED lighting again, and then we made it ADA compliant. In addition, we also did the main entryway, replaced everything with updated LED lighting. And then moving on, in the cafeteria, same as what we did elsewhere in the building, replaced all the ceiling grid work, the ceiling tile, and then put LED lighting, freshly waxed floor so that it's shown nice in that picture there, but we also connected with Director Rachel Gorton. Since we had the ceiling opened up, we thought it'd be a good opportunity to update the speaker system, and I think it was a Lightspeed audio system that she put in. And then on the right, this was one of the more interesting spaces in our district. It's a break room, but it's round. It had cork walls and then a very low ceiling. So we took out the ceiling, put it at a proper height, replaced all the grid work, tile, and LED lighting. And then you can see we put in new casework. We're just waiting on the countertop. Once the countertop goes in, then we'll be able to do the sink and faucet. And thank you.
Thank you. Board members have any comments or questions? Director Miller?
Thank you for that, taking the time to put that together for us. It's actually one of the reports I really enjoy looking at every year. It's just fun to see all the stuff that happens on this. And I especially want to call out the moving of the Metcalf chessboard. I know there was a number of people that was important thing for them, and I really appreciate taking the time and doing that. So.
Well, thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Director Alt?
Yes, I too enjoy this report. And I really appreciated the details and the context that you brought tonight. Just kind of, the refinishing of the casing at Neal, and, some of the more like the round staff room at Sky Oaks. It just underscores how much pride we take, and you and your team take, in our buildings and in keeping them up and looking wonderful. And I just really appreciate that. One question that I had, well, actually a comment and a question. So I know that I was over at the high school volunteering the other day, and I know that the teachers and the students in the music suite were really excited to see the new carpeting, and that was kind of neat to see. And I'm sure that across the district, the changes will be really well received by students. The fax updates, it's really difficult to have a fax class if you're using 1950s equipment. So that's great. At the high school, I noticed that there were speed bumps put in.
Yes.
Can you speak to those?
Yes, yeah, I can. So those were put in just yesterday afternoon. So we met a few months back. It was Mr. Helke when he was still at the high school, and Dr. Belmont, and then a few others. And what we did was we looked at how can we make our outside property more safe. And so the one thing that I had commented on, and I think others in the group agreed, was that if you come off that roundabout, and if it's a straight path, and so from time to time it becomes a shortcut, and we've got plenty of signage out there, but the thought was, for those that don't listen, how can we slow them down? So those will be painted before Monday, so that they'll be clear. We marked them with cones right now because it just got completed last night. But and then we're going to add some signage as you come in. Right now, there's a crosswalk sign that's solar powered, so we're going to do the same on the other side. And then we already restriped the whole parking lot so we're just trying to make it as safe as we possibly can.
And yeah, I wanted to compliment you on that. Definitely speed bumps that are not just little hiccups in the road. I think they really will do a nice job to keep people safe. So thank you.
Yes, yeah. And so we met with the owner of Minnesota Roadways, who's one of the major contractors in the area, and we were trying to figure out specifically what size. Now you'll see some that are 2 feet wide, and we went with the 6 foot wide. And the intent there was the 2 feet wide. They'll slow you down, but they can also do damage to a vehicle. And so it was, you know what, we need to go, he highly recommended the 6 foot. So, you know, you see it, you've got the signage, you've got the bright yellow or bright white, and then, you know, you've got those visual indicators, but then it's not gonna, something that'll take the bottom of your car out. So we want to be good stewards as well, but keep everybody driving 10 miles an hour or less.
All the parents of the high school students appreciate the not super steep speed bumps, I'm
Yes,
sure.
yes.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's always amazing to hear how much is accomplished over the summer in preparation for everybody's return in the fall. So really appreciate all the work that you put together pretty quickly.
Well, thank you, and we've got a great team, so
Great, thank you.
thank you.
Next on our agenda is a report about the SMART goals for the ISD 191 Board of Education for our new academic school year 2022-2023, and I will talk. So last week, for our community, the board members here all had a retreat, as we like to be able to review alongside Superintendent Dr. Battle about goals. And so as we were approaching our SMART goals and reviewing our goals from this last school year, we wanted to be in alignment with our new strategic roadmap and as well as the district values, because we as a district have spent a lot of time and work in drafting and creating these, and we thought it would be really good for us as a board to develop our goals to be in alignment with those. And over the course of the retreat and the discussion, we came to a consensus of what we would have identified as our 3 goals that we will be bringing for approval here later in the new business portion of the meeting. And so just to inform everyone, our number 1 goal in one of our core values is cultural proficiency. And so we as district board members before the end of this school year will understand and be able to articulate the district's work in being a culturally proficient school system. In one ways that we would do that, we'd work to understand how CPSS is reflected in our district and the plan for further implementation. Measures of our progress will be board members will participate in a facilitated retreat to learn more about CPSS, where the district currently fits and plans for continued implementation, and board members will receive information from cultural liaisons or other appropriate representatives from the school as part of school reports during the school board meetings. Our second goal that we are proposing and have identified is supporting and leveraging new methods of original thinking to improve student outcomes. As our board, we will work to understand and be able to articulate our Pathways K-12 program and use it to inform setting district priorities. And then, so we will work to have a deeper understanding of how the Pathways K-12 program is reflected in our district, especially within our elementary schools. Measures of our progress is board members will participate in a dedicated workshop to have a deep dive into the progress of the Pathways K-12. Board members will receive reflections of Pathways K-12 as part of school reports during the school board meetings. Board members will receive dashboard reports which reflect the district's progress in meeting our Pathways goals. And our third goal that we have identified and are proposing to adopt is creating a space and opportunity for each and every voice to be heard. One of our former school board members kind of coined this phrase that we have adopted in terms of our intent on being as transparent. As a district, it's the responsibility of the ISD 191 Board of Education to be transparent with our community and receive community input to inform our decision making. And so as a result of that, board members will seek input from multiple voices, families, staff, community members that represent the full diversity of our communities in order to inform our decisions and be as transparent in our communications with the community. And our measures of progress as board members will ensure members of the community have opportunities to provide input regarding district activities, for example, our budgeting, through community gatherings, surveys, and more. Board members will learn how information is getting to our families and staff, identify any gaps, and have staff work to resolve the gaps, leading to improved transparency and communication. Board members will understand which voices are represented in survey results, identifying voices missing, and learn the plan to reach them. And some of this is also, like I mentioned, school reports. And so prior to COVID, one of the things we as board members had enjoyed was when we would identify a particular school to come make a presentation during the informational portion of the board meeting, and that's something we value and would like to bring back. And so that's part of in our goal setting, we're introducing bringing that back this school year because we liked getting those reports. And so that kind of overview and pretty much read verbatim our goals. Board members, any other discussion or notes? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next portion of our agenda, which is in alignment with our goals, is a report about Superintendent Dr. Battle's goals for 2022-2023.
Thank you, Chair Chester and members of the board. Before you tonight, I'd like to thank you for your feedback on my proposed superintendent evaluation goals. As Chair Chester mentioned, we discussed in a board retreat, and so tonight I present those revisions as my final superintendent evaluation goals. So I have one professional development goal, which is also aligned to our culturally proficient school systems, to improve competency in moving toward adaptation and cultural competency as described by the Intercultural Development Continuum. And the strategy is to link knowledge of my own culture and other cultures to increase the skill of shifting perspectives and to link my cognitive ability to generate cultural appropriateness in my affect and my behavior with not only students, families, but also community members as a representation of District 191, representative of District 191. I have two district-focused goals. By January 2023, complete actions plans for the 191 roadmap, strategic directions, complete a dashboard for goal attainment metrics, and complete a profile of a learner. And the third goal is by September 2022, present a plan with goals and strategies for reducing enrollment loss and retention of students and implement the plan throughout 2022-23 school year. With that, I've identified evidence of a performance for each one of the goals. For the first goal, cultural competency, I will continue to participate in professional development and community activities to learn about constituents' cultures through dialogue and planned intercultural experiences. And I will provide examples of ways I've included these multiple perspectives in my planning, decision-making, and implementation of plans. For the district-focused goals, evidence of performance for the second goal, I will present a guiding change to identify the process for development of the strategic roadmap action plans, the stakeholder engagement to develop, review, or provide input will be embedded. We'll complete those action plans and begin implementation, monitoring and reporting on progress toward the final dashboard metrics will be provided to the school board as well as our constituents. And an additional one, reports to members will be based on availability of the data and release of North Star data by the Minnesota Department of Education. And lastly, to create that profile of learning. For the third goal, evidence of performance, is to develop an action plan to reinforce current and incoming families, and you see some very specific strategies, which include outreach to students, homeschooling, families in transition grades, pre-K, kindergarten, and grades 6 and 9. We're going to focus on some marketing efforts, especially for parents of our youngest learners. We are going to continue that statewide advertising for our virtual academy, our online school. and support the kindergarten enrollment events. Marketing campaigns via social media. I just realized we have a new Instagram account. So I just have a Twitter. So we'll see how that goes, managing if I have an Instagram account. And then really that perception, improving that perception of our families, of not only our families, but the community as well. We'll conduct in-person public relations, such as Tea with Dr. T, and our realtor engagement is coming up pretty shortly. Write and publish positive articles about 191, not only to our local newspapers, but the board also asked that we extend it to other news sources, such as Sehan Journal, Pioneer Press, etc. And continue our branding campaigns about the district's pathway model. I see a spelling error. It says mode. Is your copy correct? Model. Okay, so model, so we'll take care of that. And C, develop an action plan to increase student and family satisfaction. So as the board identified pathways, I also have that as evidence about having positive student experiences, strengthen those. Our culture proficient school systems framework to ensure that district parents, students feel heard, valued, and respected. And then continuing those engagement opportunities to make sure that we are including all voices. The marketing campaign to make sure we're providing supportive, informative, and useful information to current parents. And lastly, we previously, the district had done an exit survey. I think it's been over 4 or 5 years. So we will gather information about why families exit the district during the school year and at transition grades, pre-K, kindergarten, 6 and 9. And with that, conclude my report.
Do board members have any comments or questions? Nope. Okay. We did a lot in our retreat. Next, we'll move on to committee reports, board appointments, and school assignment reports. We will start with legislative because we have our current chair here.
Here I am. The Legislative Committee met on Tuesday, August 23rd. During the meeting, we discussed what information about the district will be shared with newly elected or re-elected representatives after the election, including an invitation for them to join us at either the December or January Legislative Committee meeting. We also received a report on the structure of neighboring districts' legislative committees, and we briefly discussed our goal of creating our 2023 legislative platform this fall with the intent of finalizing it before the January 23 legislative session begins. And this concludes my report. We did a lot in 30 minutes.
You did. Do we have a report from policy with minus chair?
Sure. So we met this past Tuesday at 5 o'clock, and we have a number of policies that will be coming forward. There's another one that will be coming back for committee review. And we meet next here in Diamond Head on September 27th at 5 p.m. And this concludes my report.
Wonderful. Negotiations?
I have no report for negotiations.
Okay. Great. Other committees and board appointment assignments, other school assignments. I can do a quick report on 9/17. We met the first Tuesday of this month, and I don't remember the exact date. But in that meeting, we also approved the superintendent's goals for the upcoming year, finalized and approved the superintendent's evaluation, and updated the contract. And so those are probably the key points of the meeting as well. But then also hearing from fellow member districts about some of the hiring challenges for staff and faculty, especially EAs, is something that we're still experiencing. Any other? Yes, Director Alt.
Just a quick report for the Burnsville Festival and Fire Muster. We're continuing to work on that, pretty much pulling everything together, finalizing all the plans. I know that at this point, the festival is in need of volunteers, so I'll put in a little plug for anybody that's looking for a volunteer time. Feel free to go to their website and I believe just use the contact link to let them know that you're interested and when you might be interested.
Any other reports? Awesome. Well, that concludes that portion of the information portion of our meeting. We'll be now moving to the business portion of our meeting and our consent agenda. Although board action is required, it is generally unnecessary to hold discussions on these items. In the event a board member wishes to discuss an item, that item will be moved for separate consideration. Do board members wish to remove any of the items from the consent agenda? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved?
Moved by Director Alt.
Second.
Second by Director Miller. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move on to new business, or slightly unfinished business. And we are inviting, from our last meeting, we're bringing forward a proposal to adopt a form of remedial action resolution. And we have Sophia Leike from Kennedy Graven.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to see you all again. I'm back with a revised resolution. Again, the resolution that was presented to the board last time on August 11th was a resolution authorizing the district to take a remedial action with respect to certain tax-exempt bonds that were issued by the district to finance certain of its facilities. The original resolution described several facilities that the district had sold or was contemplating selling. At the last meeting, I was asked to revise the resolution to remove several of the facilities from the resolution, and I've done that. So this resolution now provides for two facilities, the River Ridge facility, which has already been sold, and then the Metcalf facility, which is currently under contract, and the actual closing date has lots of contingencies. So under the federal tax rules, the 90-day clock to redeem or defease the bonds hasn't yet occurred, but this resolution will start that process going and will enable the district to take the required actions under federal tax law to remediate the private use of those bonds. And I can take any questions the board may have at this time, but it's essentially the same resolution. It's just pared down to set forth the two facilities that we discussed, and then the bonds related to those facilities.
Do board members have comment or question? Or wait, I'm supposed to ask, do we have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Moved by Director Hume,
Second.
second by Director Miller. Now, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Unless this is a roll call, Jamie.
We can take a roll call.
Okay.
Aye.
Hume,
Aye.
Chester,
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have to approve, being presented to approve the 2022-2023 Athletics and Activities Handbook. We have Guillaume Peck, Director of Athletics.
Thank you, directors. Thank you, Dr. Battle. I'm here to recommend the approval for our 2022-2023 Athletics and Activities Handbook. There are no significant changes from last year aside from updating information and updating emails to ISD 191 emails.
Great. Do I have a motion to approve the 2022-2023 Athletics and Activities Handbook.
So moved.
Moved by Director Miller,
Second.
second by Director Alt. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will be asked to approve on a first reading basis changes to policy 427, workload limits for certain special education teachers, and 615, testing accommodations, modifications, and exemptions for IEPs, section 504 plans, and LEP students. We have Amy Piotrowski, Director of Student Support Services.
Hi, good evening. Chair Chester, directors, and Dr. Battle. I am here to recommend the approval for the first reading basis of the policies 427, workload limits for certain special education teachers. There have been just minor changes. Things that were added were or related service professionals, and to the indirect and the direct services. And then I, instead of adding the children and youth with disabilities, we just provided the pupil. So on the first reading, so the review committee met on June 21st, 2022, and the policy 427 is MASBA updated.
Great. Do I have a motion to approve on a first reading basis policies 427 and 615?
So moved.
Moved by Director Hume,
Second.
second by Director Miller. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next, we are being asked to approve board priorities. We have Stacy Sylvine, Executive Director of Human Resources.
Good evening, Chair Chester, Dr. Battle, members of the board. As a part of our negotiated agreement with the Burnsville Education Association, each year in August, the board approves board priorities that identifies programming and retention protections for licensed teachers for not the current year, but for the upcoming year. So we do it almost a year in advance, so by the time we get to budgets and reductions and all those conversations in the spring, we've already laid the groundwork as to what we're looking for the following year. So with that, it's the recommendation I'm bringing to the board that the Board of Education approves for the 2023-2024 school year the proposed programming priorities and staffing retention protections and their qualifying criteria in the following areas. I'm not going to read the entire table. Be it further resolved that staffing retention protection aligns with the District 191 strategic plan and are for traits such as unique specialized training, external certifications or licenses, language proficiency, and recruitment and retention of teachers and administrators with diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds. The staffing retention protections do not limit the board's ability to determine the programs, functions, overall budget, utilization of technology, organizational structure, selection of personnel, ability to discipline, and the direction and number of personnel.
Do I have a motion to approve the board priorities?
So moved.
Moved by Director Alt,
Second.
second by Director Miller. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we were being asked to approve superintendent goals for 2022-2023. Dr. Battle, Superintendent.
Thank you, Chair Chester and members of the board. Tonight, I ask you to approve my goals for the 2022-2023 school year.
Do I have a motion to approve superintendent goals?
So moved.
Moved by Director Miller,
Second.
second by Director Hume. Any discussion? Director Alt?
Yep. So SMART goals all around for the board and for the superintendent. And I remember in the retreat we had discussed with greater specificity item D on page 2. Rather than just simply gathering information, we discussed a survey of families that were leaving the district. And I I'd like to, hear fellow board members' thoughts, but my suggestion was that we need to give a measure in terms of time and frequency to that, and specify that it is a survey in addition to using internal information, because goodness knows we have lots of information that we can leverage. What we're lacking is that survey data directly from our families.
Page 2.
You're referencing
The
point D, the
D,
very last
the
one.
last one,
Very last.
yeah.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
ongoing information, because if we get our records from out of state and they've moved out of state, we wouldn't survey those families about why they left.
So I
So
think,
it's
but I think a
ongoing.
survey, I think a survey document is fair. I mean, I would like to suggest, what I had come up with at least as a draft for board members to consider. Complete a survey of families within the month of departure or some time frame, to gather information about why their family chose to remove their child or children from ISD 191, analyze the survey data in addition to existing in-house data, and then present survey data and analysis annually as a K-12 board report.
So would those be like numbers underneath D?
Underneath that, yeah. Yeah, and in terms of when we might want to receive it, granted, this would be the first year that we would be doing it, but probably it would make sense to do it in keeping with the budget, so that we can have that information to, weigh as we figure out what we need to invest.
So would you envision, so if someone chooses to leave the district, then there's like an automatic trigger that mails them a survey letter maybe, or something like that? Or
Something like that, yeah.
Contact or an invitation to a website or something. I don't think as long as we can automate it without additional resource strain on the administration, I don't know that I have a problem with it. What I would have a concern with is the challenge of, with survey data, you need to have a fair size population. And so if we had a report that came back with 10 or 15 responses, I'd be a little concerned about reporting that, even with the caveat, because unfortunately it will be interpreted as writ.
Yeah, fair.
So,
Yeah.
we just want to be cautious around that, I guess.
Yeah.
I think maybe if we just allow for some some subjective assessment of the data before presenting it. So if
I think that makes sense,
it's
yeah.
not of value, maybe we just skip the presentation that year if we don't have enough input, for instance.
Or it could be, like if you think about like the 360 view, we gathered survey data, we analyzed information that we have internally. We conducted focus groups with, and I know, Dr. Battle, you had outlined the transitional grades. That could all be part of that report. The fact that we don't have a survey of families is really what I'm focused on, and how that
We don't
information.
have a regular, but we have done something, have we not? It seems like there was a time.
We did, because I remember we got a
Place in
survey
time that occurred.
shortly after you and I joined the board. I remember
Right.
we saw a survey
We did.
result.
But it's not a
But that's-
regular.
No, I
Right,
agree
right,
with
right.
that.
Definitely
Right.
not a
I think it was a
regular.
one-time effort
Right.
by Aaron's department or something like that.
And I know that, there are families out there that anecdotally are sharing their thoughts, and probably it would be beneficial for us to get those thoughts in-house.
If they complete it, because what you said reminded me,
Right.
I work for a volunteer organization, and when our volunteers leave the organization, we send them an exit survey, an online survey to complete, and very few people actually respond. So
Yeah.
I think that's a fair concern, that if someone is choosing to leave, they may respond to a survey link, or they may not.
And we can't force them.
And we can't force them, obviously, that,
Nope.
yeah.
Nope.
But,
Right.
but we do want to know, so.
Well, or just having it available, we can get a sense of what a sample size could be or might be a trend to see whether,
Right.
what,
Wow, and
what weight it holds.
as Director Alt was saying, if we've got a survey and focus groups, like several things,
Yeah.
we can kind of see if there are some trends, even if it's not statistically valid.
Right.
You might still see, the same things are popping up in 2 or 3 different places.
Yeah. And to
That's worth noting.
Director Miller's point, though, to make it automative, so like you
Oh,
just shoot them
definitely.
in an email, a Survey Monkey or something.
Right.
I think that makes it
And
less
and I like
resources.
doing it that way, because then it's also more timely, because if it's like, once a month or once every quarter, an email to send out to everybody who left. By the time they get it, they've already moved on. If they get it right away,
Right.
I would think more, even though not many are still gonna reply, you
Right.
get more, the sooner, more timely they get that sort of a thing.
And maybe an invitation, if they don't feel like completing the survey, if you want to, talk with someone in the school district, please,
Here's a number.
yeah, reach us at this, whatever,
Yeah.
phone number link.
But, so kind of get back to our motion and approval, Director Alt, are you asking for, an amended
An amendment, yes.
to this
yes.
document?
And I would be happy to suggest something. I don't know if we want to. So, create, I guess it would be, send an automated survey to families upon their departure of removing their children from ISD 191. The survey would collect information as to why their family made this choice. And then a different bullet point would be analyze the survey data in addition to existing in-house data. Present survey data and analysis as an annual report to the board. And I think probably the board, we can see how things go and determine when that report makes sense to come forward.
Okay.
Right, now, Robert.
So you need to put forward a motion for that language to be added to the.
Yeah, you're moving,
I'm moving that statement.
Okay.
To
I'll second that.
second that, okay. So I know we have to like work backwards or work
Yeah,
somehow.
The amendment.
we have to agree to that and then
We have to agree, okay.
and that
So we have
becomes
we have a
the-
first and a second. Is there any discussion on the amended document?
The amendment to the motion in front of us.
Could you read it back to us? Or,
I took,
I need to hear it
I took
again.
notes,
Okay.
sending an automatic survey upon a parent guardian withdrawing their child. Then I missed the last
From
part.
ISD 191.
From ISD 191.
Then
Analyze
the survey data,
and existing.
in-house data. And then the next bullet point is,
Present survey and analysis as an annual report to the board.
right,
So it's like 1 and 2,
as an annual report, yeah.
okay.
Did you get that, Jamie? I'll read it again. Okay.
Can always rewatch it on YouTube.
You had another piece about why. You added why. You missed the piece.
Was
The
there a
first
why?
one.
Oh,
you
yeah,
said- yeah.
yep, as to
Uh-huh.
why they made this choice.
As to why they made the
Yes.
choice.
Yeah, okay. All right, any other discussion on the amended,
The amendment to the motion. in front of
amendment to the motion?
us.
Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the
We
amendment?
have to move it. We
What?
have
To
to
move on the
We vote on the amendment.
We voted on the amendment, so like we moved in second, so now we're into the
Okay.
vote.
Yep.
Okay, so
Right.
all those in favor of the amended motion to approve,
Just voting on the amendment.
on the amendment, okay, we're
Right.
voting on the amendment, okay, yes. All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously, okay. So
Now we vote on the,
now, okay,
Any
so,
further discussion if necessary?
now, is there any further discussion on the superintendent goals? Okay, now, all those in favor of approving the superintendent goals
As
as
amended.
amended? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. I remember to work backwards, I just did.
it's a good way to remember it.
Okay, next on our agenda is to approve, the board's goals, ISD 191 Board of Education goals for 2022-2023. Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Director Miller,
Second.
second by Director Hume. Any discussion? or amendments? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next is to approve the 2022-2023 board planning document. This was something that we, as a board, reviewed and went over to make edits or changes to be reflective of what would be accurate for this school year, and had proposed changes to our planning document in a workshop. And so what is presented is the result of our discussion during our workshop as our planning document for 2022-2023. Do I have a motion to approve our planning document?
So moved.
Moved by Director Alt,
Second.
second by Director Hume. Any discussion? Yep.
Just one comment, just that I appreciate that we have this. I think it's a really good roadmap for our current board and for those who come after us, at least to give them a starting point as to how they want to run their board. So I appreciate everybody's partnership in that.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We have reached the end of our regular board meeting. It is 7:21. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Director Alt. Okay, no second. Are we waiting till
Second.
8:01? No.
Yeah. No, we got 40 more minutes.
Second
I don't think we
by-
needed a motion to adjourn.
Second by Director Hume. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.